Some people work for years and still get paid like beginners, not because they're unskilled, not because they don't work hard, but because they never ask. And if that sounds simple, it's not. Because the decision to not ask is almost never about money. It's about something deeper, something quieter, something most people don't even notice in themselves. Look around your workplace for a moment. There's always that one person, the reliable one, the one who shows up on time, delivers consistently, handles pressure without complaining. When things get difficult, they're the one people depend on. When something goes wrong, they're the one who fixes it. From the outside, they look stable, in control, professional. But there's one pattern. They never talk about their salary. They never negotiate. They never bring it up. Even when others do, even when people around them move ahead. At first, it looks like patience, even maturity. You think they're not desperate. They trust the process. They're focused on long-term growth. And honestly, that sounds admirable. But over time, if you really pay attention, something starts to feel off. Because their effort keeps increasing, but their situation doesn't. But more work, more responsibility, more expectations, same salary. And the gap keeps growing. So what's really happening here? Hey, let's slow this down, because this isn't about one decision. It's a pattern. Imagine someone who joined a company at an entry-level salary. At the beginning, it made sense. They were new, learning, trying to prove themselves. Every task felt like an opportunity. Every responsibility felt like growth. They didn't think about money much, they thought about improvement. And that phase was important. But then things changed. Months passed, skills improved, confidence increased, workload expanded. They started doing things they weren't hired for, handling clients, managing tasks independently, solving problems others struggled with. Even guiding new employees. Without realizing it, their role had evolved. But their salary had not. Now here's the moment that matters. They notice it. Of course they do. When someone else gets a raise, when a new hire joins at a similar pay, when expectations increase, but compensation doesn't. Then the thought appears, maybe I should ask. For a brief second, it feels clear, logical, even necessary. And then something interrupts. A quiet hesitation. Maybe not now. What if it creates a problem? What if they think I'm being difficult? What if I lose what I already have? And just like that, the moment disappears. This doesn't happen once. It happens again and again and again. Until silence becomes the default. And this is where psychology takes over. Because over time, this behavior turns into identity. I'm not the type who asks. I don't create pressure. I'm easy to work with. I just focus on my job. And once this identity is formed, it becomes something you protect. Not just in front of others, but inside your own mind. Because the moment you consider changing it, it feels uncomfortable. Like you're becoming someone else? Like you're doing something wrong. So instead, you stay consistent, even if that consistency is costing you. Now, here's something even more subtle. For many people, asking feels like confrontation. Not because it actually is, but because their mind labels it that way. Or they imagine tension, awkward conversations, judgment. So they avoid it completely. But in reality, asking is not confrontation. It's communication. Clear, professional, necessary. But if your brain sees it as risk, you'll treat it like danger. when you'll stay away from it. Now let's talk about the cost. Because silence feels safe, but it's not free. First, nothing feels wrong. You're working, earning, surviving. But slowly, something starts to build. The comparison. You notice others moving ahead? Same office, same effort, different outcomes. Someone speaks and grows. You stay silent and stay where you are. And then over time, this creates something dangerous. Doubt. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I need more time. Maybe this is enough. Even when it's not true. Because every time you stay silent, you send yourself a message. And that message shapes your belief. And that belief shapes your reality. Now here's a hard truth. In most workplaces, value is not just created, it's communicated. And if you don't communicate it, it often goes unnoticed. Not because people are unfair, but because attention is limited. And silence doesn't compete. Now look at this clearly. Or two people, same starting point, same skill level, same effort. One keeps waiting, the other starts communicating. After a year, they are no longer in the same position. Same effort, different result. So, and the difference here was not talent. There is door and spurs, and it was visibility. It was clarity. It was the willingness to speak. To pause for a second. Be honest with yourself. Okay, when was the last time you asked for an increment? Not thought about it, not planned it. Actually asked. If you can't remember, that silence is already shaping your outcome. Now here's the shift. You don't need to become aggressive. You don't need to demand. You just need to become clear. Right? Because clarity changes everything. Instead of waiting to be noticed, you make your value visible. So instead of hoping things improve, you initiate the conversation. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple. I've taken on more responsibility. I've improved in these areas. I'd like to discuss my compensation. That's it. No drama, no pressure. Just honesty. Because growth is not just about working harder. It's about recognizing your value and allowing it to be seen. Now, here's the part most people ignore. And if you don't define your value, someone else will. And they will almost always define it lower than you should. Not out of bad intention, but out of convenience. Because silence makes things easy. But easy doesn't mean fair. You're fair. So next time, when that thought comes, maybe I should ask. Don't push it away immediately. Sit with it, just for a moment. We're going to ask yourself, am I staying silent because it's right or because it feels safe? Because those two things, they are very different. And the moment you see that difference, but everything starts to change. Because in the end, you're not underpaid because you work less. You're underpaid because you speak less. Silence doesn't protect your value. It hides it. Sometimes, the biggest shift in your career doesn't come from working harder. It comes from one conversation. The one you've been avoiding for a very long time,